A fast-spreading disease. Over 100 Ghanaian students studying in the Chinese city of Wuhan, the epicenter of the deadly coronavirus, are demanding immediate evacuation to Ghana. At least 80 people have been killed in that outbreak. The worried students, who have been locked up in their rooms for 8 days now, say they have run out of food supplies because the city is closed down due to the fears the virus may spread. Samson Opoku is the Wuhan chapter president of the Ghanaian students in China.
What the conditions are for you and the other Ghanaian students who are there?
Yes, about 5 days ago, that we all informed the students in Wuhan city that because of the outbreak of the coronavirus, we should all stay indoors and movement has been limited. Actually, the city was completely locked down. No vehicular movements, no human movements. So, we all stayed inside up to today. There was panic buying. People were stockpiling food stuff. Some of the students were able to do that, those who got to know the information earlier, and those who have the money. And because some of the students are not on scholarship and don't have money, they couldn't buy enough. They're on the 5th day now, and some are started running short of food. But there's no vehicular movement. We've been asked to stay indoors for our own safety.
But just tell me about those you say are running out of food. Who are these people?
They are Ghanaian students who are here. Some of them are, because they are not on scholarship, they don't take stipends. So it was difficult for them to get enough money to buy enough food to store for this period. And now, as I speak with you, no one can tell when this is going to end. Yeah.
So how are these students coping, those who do not have enough food?
Actually, I've asked my campus representatives to help them with the small they have. We've contacted the National Union of Ghana Students, China, the national body, and they've arranged to help us, to give us some money so that we can procure some bags of rice and few medical supplies like face masks and other things for them. We are also in constant contact with the embassy. The embassy asked us to compile the list of all Ghanaians, both students and workers, here in Wuhan now. We've done that this morning. I've submitted it via email to the embassy, and we are waiting for their feedback.
How many students did you get in this list?
We are 161 students here in the city now, in Wuhan city now.
I see. So what would you want the embassy to do?
Actually, for us, we want evacuation back home, Ghana, because we don't know how long this is going to take. The infection every day, the mortality rate, and the number of cases going up, if you can find it from the media. So members are scared, so we want to be evacuated back home. So when the situation subsides or when it ends, then we return back and continue our academic work.
All right. What has the Chinese officials also been telling you, apart from they asking you to stay indoors? Are you able to access health care if you need it?
Yeah. Various campuses, various international student offices give information periodically to the students. They tell them how to stay safe, obey the precautionary measures, and when you have any symptoms like fever, like coughing, excessive sneezing, you report it. Then it takes you to hospital. As of now, we have no case yet among all the Ghanaians and the.
You had the president of the Ghanaian students in Wuhan. Let's move to the national president of the National Union of Ghana Students in China, Felix. Hello, Felix.
Hello.
Now, we've heard the story in Wuhan. I'm not sure how close you are in terms of where you are at the moment to Wuhan. What is the situation where you are?
Well, in my city, I'm in Nanjing City, and by fast train, we're about 3 or 4 hours away from Wuhan. Basically, Nanjing is calm. Most people are indoors because we are also celebrating the Chinese New Year, and everyone is just going about their activities quietly because school is also on vacation, and we've been advised to stay away from crowded areas and also try to adhere to the various health guidelines that we have been given. So in my city, everything is calm and we are all okay.
What information do you have as far as how Ghanaian students in the country of China are faring following the outbreak of this virus?
Okay, so what we have done is that we have chapters, about 25 chapters spread across over 8 provinces in China. So what we do is that the national executive, we get in touch with the various chapters who in turn also speak with or interact with the various university reps who give them reports periodically because they are those with the students, the Ghanaian students. So based on that, we are able to know that everyone is safe, everyone is doing well, and no one has caught the infection yet. So that's how the information flows from the school rep to the chapter executives and then to the national executive.
Right. Are you in touch with the Ghana's mission in China?
Yes, I am. In fact, we've been interacting every day, almost every day. I give them periodic reports on the situation with regards to all the students, as well as from Wuhan, particularly because that's where the epicenter of the whole epidemic is. So we are in constant touch. The ambassador even talks to the Wuhan executives so as to be sure of what is really happening on the ground.
We just spoke to the Wuhan chapter president of the Ghanaian students there. What he says is that some of them don't have food because what they stored up, they've run out of what they stored up and they can't get out. Some of them don't even have money because they're not on scholarship, so they don't have any stipends from anywhere. What sort of interventions between you and the mission in Ghana are you putting together for the students?
All right, thank you very much. So what the union has done is that we have created a fund for students specifically in Wuhan. Okay. And just today, we dispersed some of the funds to them to get some groceries and some supplies for students. What happened was that because the city is locked down and the Chinese holiday is also ongoing, you would have most of the shops closed down. And because of the rate of spread of the virus and infection, people have also decided to stay away. So you get shops opening and closing earlier. Some prices have also gone up because of the situation. But we've given them some money to get some groceries, and they are going to do that tomorrow and get it to all the students who need it. So that is what has been done. Okay. The ambassador is also in a meeting with them, and similar intervention is going to follow. And so that is what has been done so far. And so I'm sure tomorrow, everyone who has issues, a shortage of food and all other stuff, they would get some form of supply.
One other thing that he said was that there is a need for Ghanaian students there to be evacuated and brought back to Ghana.
Yes, that is the general concern, and I believe that has been carried on to the mission. And so I would be unable to say what the final decision is because the embassy would also have to look at the situation and get back to them or let us know what the decision will be, the final decision will be. So that is the concern. And so I'm hoping that once the situation is assessed, the best solution will be found to the evacuation or whatever thing that has to be put in place to ensure that everyone is okay and safe.
So usually in epidemic situations like this, you'll have all social media handles or managers of all social media handles setting up some sort of rescue network. I'm not sure what the situation is in China. First of all, do you have records of every Ghanaian student in China or even in Wuhan?
In Wuhan, like I said before, we have the chapters who have the figures, but we do not have all the information for all Ghanaian students. Okay. And so what we have done prior to this outbreak is that we are now taking the details of every Ghanaian student to be sure of the exact numbers, because now we are estimated to be about 6,500 Ghanaian students, but we want to be sure of the exact number. And so we have started a campaign to have all students register, and we put it in a database. So as of now, we've had people who have registered, others are still in the process of doing it, and we are still encouraging everyone to do it so that we know the exact number of people who are students in China.
I asked that particular question because of what you've just said, and I just wanted to find out if there is that platform for people who may not necessarily be registered or in touch with any student union in China, but who are Ghanaian students or who are Ghanaians and need help to be able to reach out. Is there any such a handle, any number like that Ghanaians in distress could reach out to?
I think the embassy has taken that upon itself to initiate that. But as we speak, from the union's point of view, we may not have people who are part of the union, but we know them who are just around us. And so it is easy to identify them and get help for them as and when they need it. But with regards to the helplines and all that, we have, the union, we have not started anything like that yet, but we are in touch with the chapters to ensure that every other Ghanaian student, whether they are part of the union or not, we get their information.
Well, hopefully you put some of these measures in place, of course, in conjunction with the head of mission in China, Felix Joe Ado there. Felix, thank you so much. Do stay safe along with all the other students. Felix Joe Ado is the president of the Ghana National Union of Students in China. There. Back home here in Ghana, health officials say they've tightened surveillance at the country's entry points as officials in neighboring Ivory Coast deal with a suspected case of the virus. There's, however, concern that not enough is being done to protect lives, especially here in Ghana. A Ghanaian student who returned last night from China, Michael Alhassan, says he did not go through any rigorous checks at all. Listen to him make the point on the AM show.
I arrived yesterday.
Yesterday.
So he should not say they have done any extra thing on Friday. That is not true.
No. Let's not go there.
Segregation of somebody coming from country A or country B. We were all together. We are all together.
As in you were those who had arrived from China were not isolated.
Nobody is isolated.
Okay, and you were not given any extra health form?
I'm not giving anything, and nobody is giving anything.
Okay.
The only people isolated are people who were going visa on arrival. Apart from them, we are all together. Then you are given the normal immigration form you have to fill when you are entering or leaving. That is what we were all given to fill, and everybody filled.
Okay. So apart from that, nothing unusual?
Nothing.
Okay, because what you described, this sensor thing is also pretty normal, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's the students who came in from China, but obviously you had that conversation that Mama Via Uswabaje had with him. The usual checks, to check for your temperature, etc., was in place, but he says there was nothing extra. Well, we perhaps get some more understanding as the Ghana Health Service opens up more. But Dr. Franklin Asiedu-Bekwin is the Deputy Director of Public Health. He has been responding to these concerns.
We want the public to know is that we have this outbreak that started from China. The outbreak can be detected at source. That's when you're entering the country, or can be detected in country. The person who may be having the disease or the virus may spread it. Hello?
Yes, we're listening. Please go ahead.
They may spread it when they sneeze or when they cough. So in order to prevent a neighbor from getting it. When you are sneezing or coughing, make sure that you are covering your nose and mouth with tissue or handkerchief. We are also saying that in order to prevent people from getting infected, the person who is sneezing or coughing must be washing his hands with soap and running water. In that case, you do not have the viruses around you. The other aspect is somebody who is, let's say, without the virus, must be sure that they protect themselves from a neighbor. So that's the way the discussion is going. So there's one side, one person who has the virus, who's supposed to ensure that it does not transmit the virus to the other side. And this other person who must keep himself a bit distant. So that is the way we are hoping that you all go in that perspective.
Okay. Now, God forbid, but if we
let me also add that we are saying that typically the presentation is the fever, cough, and difficulty in breathing. And we are saying that when you have such a condition, please report to the nearest health facility as early as possible for management.
Very well. God forbid, but if we do, register any cases of the novel coronavirus here in Ghana, will the treatment be covered by the NHIS?
Now, public health emergencies, when they are declared, the costs are not borne by the patient. It's borne by the government.
Very well.
Dr. Bekweng, I have a question on this possible first African case in Ivory Coast. What do we know about it?
I just spoke to my colleague and said it's being investigated, so I don't have the full details. I just spoke to my colleague, so I think that we'll wait to make sure we get the full details of it.
So, right now we're concentrating on persons coming from particularly China. With a possible, this Ivory Coast lady who is being tested, are there plans between Ghana and Ivory Coast, the border, for instance? What is there an exact plan?
Yes, so we do cross-border meetings, and we also have the point of entries that are coordinated. So what we've done is that if you look at our case definition that we issued out, the health facilities at the point of entries, and quite a number of the point of entries have this thermal scanners. So as you walk through it, your temperature is more than 37.5. You have a fever, so you'll be detected at the point of source. So what I'm saying is that there are two approaches about detection. It's about detection at the point of entry, and also as you get into the country, which in that case will need to be done at the health facility. But we are trying to make sure that this message permeates further down, so that the detection will be enhanced. And I think that is what we are pushing. And we are happy about this dialogue. It's going to help the discourse, so that more Ghanaians are sensitized, whether you're a clinician, whether you're a general public person.
And so there's someone who came into the country. You've also heard the public health official there. What actually happens on the ground? JoyNews' Sheila Tamaklo has been assessing the preparedness of the country at the Kotoka International Airport.
Every day, thousands of people ply Ghana's main airport, the Kotoka International Airport. But there's a threat: the outbreak of the coronavirus, which has left the world in a panic.
Reports that we have so far indicates that the death toll for this particular disease in China is at 26, and over 830 persons have also been affected within the same country. Subsequently, the disease is reported to have spread out to about 8 other countries, which has caused some amount of alert globally on how to check and curb the spread of this new deadly virus.
Already, neighboring Ivory Coast has reported its first suspected case of the coronavirus, leaving questions about how prepared Ghana is in containing the virus. We put these questions to the head of Port Health at the Kotoka International Airport, Gideon Akwe.
So far here at Kotoka Terminal 3, has there been any suspected cases, or have you had any issues so far here at the Terminal 3?
No, there's no suspected case as at now.
So for now, though, what are the protocols in place to check the passengers that are coming in to ensure that we don't have any incidences?
When they come, we have the health declaration form. This is the form we give to all the travelers or the passengers. We give to the travelers or the passengers to fill at the upper arrival before getting down to the screening points. We have thermal scanners. So after filling the form, when you go to where the thermal scanner is, the thermal scanner will pick your temperature. When your temperature is above the threshold, that is, when it is above 37.5, we have a light in the thermal scanner. It will show red. So when it shows red, quickly we have an officer who will politely ask you to get aside the queue. The officer will interview you. Then we use this non-contact thermometer to re-check your temperature again. If still it is above the threshold, we have F team here. We have the Port F, airport clinic, and the ambulance. So quickly we have to inform the airport clinic, the ambulance. Then we also have to inform the International F Regulations focal person.
The team was granted rare access to the arrival section of the airport. Here we noticed something unusual. Customs and immigration officers were all in protective gloves and nose masks.
We were given directives from our commissioner and the sector commander, Madam Molly Awaji, that we need to intensify our protective measures here.
Chief Revenue Officer in charge of Terminal 3, T.D. Williams, explains the high alert rate of officers at the airport since the outbreak of the coronavirus.
Wearing our gloves, as you've seen, and the mouth mask. In addition to that, we make sure that even the goods that we handle, whether passengers are with them or not, we at least wear our hand gloves to ensure that we are protected. After that, officers are required to take some kind of hygienic measures, wash their hands, and as you can see on the table, we have the hand sanitizers. We have to use it periodically.
Are you by any chance fumigating or anything of that sort to check some of these things coming in?
Yes, the airport authorities are always regularly fumigating. I believe they are taking immediate measures. The Port Health Authority officer came to me this morning and assured me that they are going to fumigate the areas where we work.
Barbara Sam is the Assistant Superintendent of Ghana Immigration.
So Ghana Immigration Service, this is a health issue, so the Ministry of Health is handling this. But for us as a service, we have put certain measures in place to prevent our officers from getting this virus. And the measures are, we've provided them with face masks, we've given them gloves, and then we've also told them to wash their hands regularly, and then also look out for symptoms when passengers arrive and report the passenger immediately to Port Health, and also to be alert, that's all.
Despite these measures, however, some still argue that passengers traveling from China should be quarantined and rigorously screened at the airport. Elsewhere, the US, France and Russia are among several countries trying to evacuate its nationals from the epicenter of the virus, Wuhan, as well as tracking Chinese nationals in the past few weeks.
Reporting for Joy Business, my name is Sheila Tamaklu.
Sheila's rare access to the arrival hall of the Kotoka International Airport there with that report. Now, let's come back to the studio. Our head of health desk, Fred Smith, has been to the Kotoka International Airport today, and he joins me here in the studio. Hello, Fred.
Hi.
Fred, tell us what's different today. Is there?
Well, today they've stepped up the surveillance. They've given the forms, the health declaration forms, to all passengers who are traveling into Ghana. And so the screening has moved beyond the Chinese travelers to all travelers into Ghana, and therefore they are strict on it. I was given access to the screening area, so I got to know at first hand how the screening is being done. The officials who work there, I also saw the logistics they use in working in this department. They have their gloves, their aprons and other things to protect the staff who are actually working to screen those who are coming in. And so per what I saw today, it's almost impossible for anybody who has any ailment, not just the coronavirus, other ailments, to come through. The system is very rigorous.
It's probably early days yet, because investigations are still being carried out on this particular virus, so we know at least how long it takes for the incubation process.
The incubation period, roughly 2 weeks thereabout.
Okay.
Yes. So if the person is showing signs, what they look out for, that's the major thing they look out for, is high temperature, and therefore they've pegged it at 37.5 degrees Celsius. So if your temperature is around that, then it will raise alarm. There's the monitor which is supposed to show if you are safe or not. If you're safe and you go through the scanner, it will show green on the system. If it shows red, that means your temperature is around 37.5 and above. You know, the WHO has asked that every country pegs the danger zone at 38 degrees Celsius, but Ghana has a 5 Celsius gap that they look at. Also, one thing I realized at the airport, the staff there have been given this. It has information.
To the camera.
Yes, indeed, it has information to the staff on how to recognize a patient or a passenger who is ill, and the procedures are very clear on it. Even though the staff have been told about this, it's also clearly written on this easy card. It's easy to carry, so you can actually hold it with this and hang on your dress somehow. And so if you go through it, what's been written on it, it says how to recognize ill traveler. Look, listen, or ask for signs and symptoms of illness. Alert immediate supervisor and port health for any travelers who says he or she may have fever and reports having or is observed with one or more of the following conditions: persistent coughing, impaired breathing, persistent diarrhea, persistent vomiting, skin rash, among others. Those are the things you're supposed to look out for, and details of that written
on this card. And these cards are being distributed at the airport.
Exactly. They've been given to staff, immigration, customs, all workers there.
All right. When we come back, we'll talk to you about the health public officials, what they're saying about this situation. We'll take a very quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. This is The Pulse. We're talking about the coronavirus and how it is spreading across continent. 80 people have died so far. I'm here with head of our health desk, Fred Smith, who has just visited the Kotoka International Airport. Fred, you're telling us what is contained in this particular card that is being distributed across the Kotoka International Airport.
Well, indeed, I'll read to you what they've written on it. It says how to recognize ill traveler, and it shows you have to first recognize the person through the signs that I mentioned, whether the person has fever, cough, impaired breathing, or persistent vomiting, confusion or recent onset, skin rash, or
if we will start from the top first,
bleeding.
it says to look, listen, or ask for signs and symptoms of the illnesses. So is this some sort of advice for the officials?
Exactly. So you have to look out for this, and this is what will help you to recognize someone who is ill and is traveling into Ghana.
Okay.
Once you do that, once you identify someone who has this condition, then you have to isolate them. Then you have to separate all of them at least 1 meter away from others.
Okay.
Then you have to notify. Then you have to call ambulance. There's a quarantine area where you can put this person for further tests. And if it's confirmed, the person will not have to use the gates that everybody is using.
Okay.
There's a gate to the tarmac where an ambulance will be on standby, and the person will be transported to the Rich Hospital. That's what I've been told right now.
Okay.
Rich Hospital has the facilities to handle such cases.
Okay.
There are some officials who are also at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital who will join in at the Rich Hospital to help deal with it. And then there will be the need for the staff to give support in undertaking all of these.
So these are some of the things. We'll be going through them for you as the days go along, just so you're reminded. You don't necessarily need to be a health official to know all of these things. But Fred, you've also been talking to public health officials you met at the airport.
Yeah, I spoke to Dr. Franklin Esedu Bekwe, who has also been at the port today to look at how the systems they've put in place is working. They're confident that this will be enough to deal with any potential spread into Ghana. In case someone is carrying the virus, they are sure that this will be able to detect this at the airports. And also, he talks about what you and I can do as individuals to try and stay safe from this disease. We can hear him speak now.
Very well.
the measures we put in place, we are hoping that it will actually help us detect a case entering the country. And if you look at what we've started, initially our focus was on the main airlines coming from China, but now we have expanded it. So any airline who is entering the country, there are two things that are going to happen. One, you go through the temperature monitoring device. That is going to help you determine whether you have a fever or not. The other one is the completion of the health declaration form, which gives more information about the patient or some about the passenger, so to help us to track any passenger that may fall ill. We think that implementation of these two activities will help us early detect any ill patient that may be entering the country. But let me say that there's also under one aspect. If somebody should go through, that's why we have sent case definitions to the health system that will help clinicians to early detect cases. So that's the intervention we want to use for.
So you mean at the hospitals spread across the country, the health practitioners are on the alert for this?
That's what that's the next phase we are doing, to create the alert. Because if somebody has a fever, cough, and difficulty in breathing, you may think about pneumonia, but then maybe you might think about coronavirus. So we are saying that based on the case definition, you need to prompt your mind that you have to ask, did you travel to China? So that's one way we want to look at it. So we are looking at detection at two phases, at the point of entry and also at the health facility.
What responsibility do people have themselves, individuals in Ghana, to help ensure that the disease is not getting to them and the people around them as well?
Thank you very much. You see, on completing this health declaration form, there are certain questions that will be asked of you as an individual. We expect you to give us the right kind of answers, because that one will help us ascertain your health status. That health status is going to be beneficial to you, your family, and even to the country as a whole. We're also saying that when you are ill, make sure you practice what we call a cough etiquette. You are sneezing, you are coughing, you use handkerchief or tissue so that you don't spread the virus to another person. We're also saying that you should make sure that you wash your hands with soap and running water. Then the other side, when you are okay, try and keep a distance of more than a meter apart from somebody who is sneezing or coughing.
So that's Fred Smith there interacting. Fred, you've been interacting with this public health official. Do the people that you interacted with get the sense, especially the Ghanaians, get the sense that these measures, as they say, will actually deal with the problem?
Indeed, the workers at the port health section were very serious about this exercise. All of them that I saw had protective equipment on. They had their masks, they had everything. They also had sanitizers. And especially when you are finally exiting, you've gone through the checkout formalities and exiting, the customs area also displayed they also displayed the cleaning substances so that you do not carry this outside. So there's full awareness at the airport, and we expect that this will lead to any should anybody come in, a detection at the airport before it gets into Ghana.
Fred, thank you very much. Fred Smith is head of our health desk here. He's been doing some checks for us.